Hey there, if this is our first time meeting, I'm Kenny here with Jeremy, and today we're going to talk about this cool, quirky question of what of one of our skills that we would, skills or knowledge that we would take back, if you were inexplicably transported back 1,000 years.
Yeah, so if you're like in ancient times, we're going to have to stick with 1,000. I think the answer might change if you went back 2,000. But let's say, I guess my favorite reference is like, I don't know, 11th century Europe or whatever. And so you're just in this kind of, vague European village, right? And
places just so we're going, but Europe is very different than if you were a native like North America.
Yeah, I don't know what I would do then.
We didn't have wheels here, so
yeah,
no Canada or America. It has to be Europe.
Yeah, Europe is my frame of reference. Yeah, so what would you? I feel like having grown up in this era, despite the fact that it's made us very lazy, like we're still very generally knowledgeable, right? Even like completing high school puts you above like most commoners in history. Right. And so we just have a lot of general knowledge, and then we specialize in things. This is just, the wealth of the world that's allowed us to do this. So then what would you, what could you depend on to make it?
This question is kind of weird because if we were transported back, wouldn't we able to have all our knowledge?
Yeah, that's the idea. So imagine it's like you wake up tomorrow morning and you're in like a wooden.
You forget cot. So, for example, if I wanted my ability to cook or something like that, my ability to control my bodily functions are like not coming with me, or
no. The
just
point
to understand
is, like,
the question a little more.
You're teleported back with everything you've got right now. Which skill do you think would save you? Would maybe rocket you to the top of the economy? Because you could become like a cleanliness is a big thing,
exactly on sanitation. I think what's it, Ignis Schwarm or something. He was a medical doctor, I think a few hundred years back, or actually not that far off, but so what he noticed is that when you started to wash your hands when you're delivering babies or something, or operating, I forgot, it was one or the other, people didn't die.
Yeah, the
or at least like the chance of people dying is like dramatically lower, because like when you're giving birth or something, mothers tend to die.
Okay, so let's follow this one for a little bit.
So that would make me like he was put into an insane asylum, and yeah, because it's insane. Like, you wash your hands and people don't die. What are you, a witch? So anyway, I don't know if they declared him that, but what happened to him was that he ended up in an insane asylum, and he died. So they thought he was a crazy person for suggesting people should wash their hands when they're like doing medical stuff.
Yeah,
that'd be a good idea though. Like, people don't die because cleanliness, infections, and people didn't believe in bacteria and stuff and viruses, right? So I think that might be, I don't know, either that, or let's say if you can bring something back, I'd buy like a medical encyclopedia or something. And then
like a thing where you could, then you have to like really learn medicine, and that sounds really hard.
But you can, exactly, but that's like the most, like, that's the greatest advantage you can have, because people back then just died for getting a cut.
Right. So let's just focus on the cleanliness for a second there, because that one at least manageable, and the sanitation is like kind of one of the biggest advancements that we've had in Western history, and so that's been one. Like, I almost get nervous every now and again, almost as if this would happen. Like, I feel like I should know how to make soap, right? And there's like, you use carbon and like ashes and stuff like that, and there's you can use, I can't remember exactly what the
people
like, how would you go about making a bar.
Well,
right?
they probably had that 1,000 years ago, right? They used oil, and I don't know if it's like
That did they? I mean, like, because there's oil, but you use soap to get oil off. Like, when how clean is the oil? So, like, if you could
it's like
manufacture
I
yourself,
forgot
like,
what it was. Oh man, this would be good too. You're right, because is it like three ingredients or something? It's like oil, one part oil, one. It's like the other part's fat. Wait, no, wait. Oil is the fat part that's fat. Was it like? Man, I gotta Google this thing.
yeah, it's fairly simple.
Um,
Like, all you got to do is just do it a couple of times. You're probably golden. But imagine you can go
yeah.
back and you can make these in droves because it's not hard to make either. You're making bars of soap, and then you have to market it to that audience. Do you go out and say, well, cleanliness is going to actually make you healthier, or are they going to be like, whatever? I grew up in dirt and mud. This isn't a big deal.
Yeah,
Would you have
that's
to market it as
interesting.
something kind of like magical? Do you have to come out as a witch doctor to like get people to buy your stuff?
You know what?
Or
Yeah, you'll probably end up dead or something because they won't accept it. I mean, the thing is, like, we understand that when things spoil and they don't get washed, we know that it smells awful, right? But back then, I'm pretty sure their nose has been climatized or climatized.
yeah,
That's not the right word, but it's close enough for it to describe what might happen. As
yeah.
in, they would probably be used to it, unless it's like like well, I mean, yeah, I'm pretty sure like they're not. I don't know. Fecal matter might not have smelt as bad to them. Maybe like it's still bad, but I'm
That's
pretty
always
sure
a sign.
like homeless people have certain smells that we are not accustomed to, but people back then might have
Mm-hmm.
been more tolerant of it.
Mm. He's just around. Yeah, that's
Yeah, the
always a
musk
funny thought. Is
smell.
like you go back 1,000 years and like everything smell, even like royalty smells awful.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
royalty. What like a bath every like once a month or something, or
yeah,
like once every day, twice a
just
year.
get
I don't know.
numb to body odor. I guess I don't know. I don't know if I
Yeah.
could get used to that. But okay, so we make our soap and then we try to market it and then people buy it. And then what does that look like? Do you like a town celebrity? Does somebody pass it? Because word gets around. It's not like the internet, but word does get around. Does this now get to like the higher ups? Do you eventually end up making soap for the upper class
The more I
land?
think about
Or
it, that like you might literally they'll think of you as like a snake oil person. I don't know. It might be insane because like for
Mhm.
example, if you like ended up getting married in that era or something, and you tell this to your wife saying that these things are good for you, where how when it was not common knowledge, like I mean, certain society, even societies today, they rat on their own families, right? Like yeah,
Yeah,
no, they do that.
yeah.
They do that in COVID. We've seen people
Mhm,
rat on their family, like rat on their grandmas for having people over. Like what?
mhm. Yeah, yeah.
They're no different from people. Salem witch trials. Americans have that McCarthy or something. I forgot what it was. I'm not American, so I'm not
You're talking
too
about
familiar.
McCarthyism. Are you talking about where like
McCarthyism, yeah, for the
the
communists and
yeah.
like people rat out and saying like accuse other
Mhm.
people of being communists. That's like it's the same thing. It's happening now with COVID and
Yeah.
people policing and saying like, oh, they're not wearing masks. It's calling the police. They're saying that their grandma had people over or their neighbor had people over, calling at the SS, right, the
Mhm.
Nazis. I mean people in socialist National Socialist Party back in Prussia. I mean Germany. I
Yeah.
was trying to relate to. I mean, but they would do that, right? They would rat out their families and people. And we think we're better than that, but I don't
Yeah,
know. People
human beings are
like
human
in
beings.
this society are doing that now. So
Yeah. Okay. So with that said, then we had to, if we're doing soap, if we're going that route, we'd have to figure out how to make sure we're marketing it in a way that it is effective and not also evil. Which I don't know how hard though. I haven't studied
yeah, I think it's
old
a
soap
hard
like
one to
that.
pull because yeah, if you say anything that's out of what things are believed to be true at that time or the truths of the time
Hmm.
or relative truths, you're pretty corny. Like for example, people, flat Earth. We call them flat earthers, but they were throughout history they were the
Right.
dominant view. And if you thought the Earth was round later, um, usually good things didn't happen to you. So
Yeah, and I wonder. So that was another thing that I've thought of is like think of all, and they seem passe now, but think of all like the like the visual illusions that you see online or like on the back of a Apple Jacks box or something like that. Just all the stuff that we know how to make, like oh, like drawing the that picture that looks like both a duck and a rabbit, right? Do something like that. Or what's another cool one? The MC Escher stairs, or really any kind of like mind game that we're just so used to seeing. If you
Illusions,
spent like a
illusions.
yeah, those illusions. Anything like that, or like there's some more practical ones, anywhere from like card tricks to that's just tons of stuff that you can do that are just very visually dazzling if you can remember those. And those came over history, right? So they've kind of built up, and we can look them all up on YouTube. But like if you've never been exposed to that kind of thing, reach back into your mind and see what you can remember. You could be essentially like, it's more than a magician. When we say magician now, it's an entertainment. But if you can go back, 1,000 years, like you have power. Then you can
Oh
convince
yeah,
people to
you're
do
yeah, power bestowed upon you by the gods.
yeah, you go from being a magician to being like a sorcerer, and people will
Yeah,
listen to what you say. All you got to do is convince them that you've got power.
yeah. Sleight of hand would have been amazing
Hmm.
skill to have back then. Just swindling people left and right.
Yeah,
I mean, they do
yeah,
that now. So
yeah. But at least now we know we're being like entertained. It's not like we.
no, but like, I don't know. I mean, some like I think like I'm pretty sure like pickpocketers and stuff they use those type of gimmicks and tricks to steal watches and stuff.
Hmm. Yeah.
I mean, if you see
Uh.
it as entertainment, they can still see it as entertainment regardless of
Oh
time
yeah. If you
and
could get down
space.
pickpocket, you could just steal. Yeah. Think of back then. Like, what are they gonna do if you're a thief? Like that sounds so much easier then than it is now. Like there's nobody's got cameras. Uh,
No, but you would
People
usually
are just
get
more
like
vulnerable.
someone's like, "Oh, I lost something. This guy has money. Let's kill him."
Okay,
even if
so
you
that
didn't,
also means that
even if
you're
you
also
didn't
more
steal, they'll
vulnerable.
still like accuse you and blame you and kill you anyway.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Okay. So, all right. Well, there's another route. The last thing that I was thinking about was how hard can it be to make? So people make what are they called? Like cigar box guitars, right? If you can make a musical instrument just based on all the instruments
Be a
that you know,
bard. Oh
it's
wow.
not. Yeah, I don't know if that's a pleasant life, but like think of it's more than just this that because they'll have whatever music is popular at that time by people that are competent enough and rich enough to have an instrument and play it that way. But we've got 2,000 years of history and pop
Hmm.
music. Can you imagine what you could do?
I,
Taking
I don't think you know what I think the pot like the what do you call it like opportunity is there, but the thing is it might work against you. For example, throughout history, like for example, rock when rock came out, everyone was like, "That's the devil's music," and it took a while for people to kind of understand that rock is just like a
just
genre.
about any
Same
type of
thing, like
music.
same thing with like metal and stuff when they first are introduced.
Mhm,
People like even recent like modern society, like
mhm.
I don't know if you know dubstep, like Skrillex and stuff. When they came out,
Oh
people
yeah,
were like, "What is this? This is even music." And now, if you listen to music, half the music are like electronic, instrumentals, and
mhm.
so if you were to bring like
Yeah, so
all
it takes
this
a little
like
bit.
thing back then, they'll probably I don't know. I don't think
It
you'll
might,
be
I
a
don't
hit.
know. So the half the reason it was like devil music, besides it sounding a little bit more aggressive, was all like the background behind it. You had all
Yeah,
the way back to the 30s or 40s with Robert Johnson and his whole story of going to the crossroads and making a deal with the devil, that whole type of thing.
yeah.
Um, but if you were to, so it's not necessarily like take back rock music, take back all your ACDC and stuff like that. It would be I don't know, experiment a little. I will say though that if you start playing like, imagine you make yourself a little lute, right, and you start playing like uh these like metal rhythms that are like really fast and really aggressive, that might affect your audience.
Hmm.
But what do you
I
know how
mean,
to play?
it's like being a YouTube star, but back in the day.
Yeah, and you have to take your channel around with you if you want anybody to see it. Traveling musician sounds like like a life that's both fun and miserable at the same time because you're basically dependent on donations. and you go and you entertain. And I guess people think that's cool, but I don't know. For all of this stuff, I wonder if just the sheer novelty of it would move you up the ladder, or if it would get you killed. Because either
No,
seems
but
possible. That kind of novelty is
exactly. You
powerful.
get killed every step of the way. Like
You do have to get
no, but
lucky.
if you look at if you look at like all the people that are higher up, so to say, like royalties or people that are in politics, people die left and right, right? Subversions, murders and treat like everyone just like it's a whole Game of Thrones, right? Well, Game of Thrones was kind of real, so for most of history,
that kind of stuff. Then do you think it would be easier to just like scrap all the 21st century knowledge we've got, just like go be a butcher's apprentice and learn how to...
that's a disgusting word.
Okay, well,
I don't know.
A blacksmith's apprentice, something a little bit more not so miserable.
You'll probably lose limbs. The thing is, like, I don't think it's I would not want to go back, like, and I wouldn't want, even if I was like the ruler of the earth, I would not want to go back 1,000 years in time. Like it's just the living conditions are like, it's not something that I look forward to. Even though I like history and I like watching documentaries, dramas, or whatever related to history, I just think it's all interesting. But like, it's the reason why I like it the most is that I don't have to experience those horrific things, right? It's maybe what's that word? Schadenfreude or something. It's like you find pleasure in other people's pain or something.
Oh, that's just straight sadism or sadism.
Yeah, well, yeah. So it's kind of like, okay, they're suffering, and it's cool.
That's fine as long as I'm not connected to it. Yeah, there was somewhere along the lines that I recognized that, like, I don't know, I grew up like kind of romanticizing those eras, and like fantasy's fun, right? And it's neat to,
for sure.
When you're fantasizing about it like it's something that you actually want, like, no, actually it was not good to live in that period. You probably would die very soon. All of your friends would, well, not all of your friends. It just was not a cool time to be alive. Maybe there was.
I mean, it's interesting because like we see a lot of TVs and movies about these things, and they portray them as something very majestic, like it's like amazing, right? Like to be a knight, to fight, have these armor. I'm like, well, it's movies.
Yep.
But it is cool. Like I do enjoy watching those things, and I think if had people. Do you know medieval times?
I've heard of this. It's like a chain where you can go. It's kind of like a Renaissance festival type of thing, but I think it's all indoors and that kind of stuff.
Like it's exactly, and they are popular and they're in business for a reason, right? To fulfill those needs of the people that want to have their fix of medieval life or whatnot. I think there's like jousting tournaments in UAV or something, and it's like probably I haven't been to one, but yeah.
Dude, Renaissance festivals are a blast. They are so much fun. Should definitely go. And the vendors there are always fun because you've always like somebody who actually is a blacksmith. There's someone there that's like got a loom and is making big old like blankets and stuff in those old fashioned styles. It's definitely worth your time.
Yep, but I don't think it's happening anytime soon. So not in the
we're not in the position that kind of thing. Speaking of time, it looks like we're out of time for this week. Incidentally, today's episode is brought to you by the color orange. And with that said, have a good night, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Take care, buddy. Or I guess people out there.
And everybody.
See you guys soon.